We've finally reached a turning point in this country, well, for the most part, the global economy. And I thought about the best way to give you an idea as to how severe it is to basically label Uncle Sam, United States government, as having stage 4 cancer. So I don't want to make this a dark doom and gloom type of video, but just want to show to you the severity of how important it is to begin thinking beyond the current narrative that we've been given, especially when it comes to a trade deal or lack thereof and all the events that's unfolding now, and how the Federal Reserve at this current moment know that it's terminal. They know Uncle Sam can't sustain the current level of activity, but the only thing they can do for a stage 4 cancer patient is to just try to provide comfort. And that's what's going on with these repo markets. So I thought about the best way to kind of sum up this week. So this past week was very interesting. Had a chance to connect with a lot of great people, for everything from Rob Kerby to Doug Casey, and then yesterday during our little mastermind, had a chance to connect with some other people who are very thoughtful in regards to how they consider and how they assess the current state of our global economy. And so I thought I would just take a minute and share some thoughts and ideas based upon gathering all that information, compiling it into one single thought. And the best way to relay the importance of what's going on to you is by basically using something that people probably can relate to, just because it's a level of life and death. And so right now, Uncle Sam is extremely tapped out. There's no way of revitalizing growth the way that the mainstream narrative would like for us to believe that it's possible. And so the only thing that can occur from this point on is the wind down, or the slow progression towards us eventually falling off the cliff. And so from talking with, having a chance to talk with Doug Casey this past week, I encourage you guys to definitely take a listen to this interview, because it's one of the things where it's not too often you get to speak with someone labeled a speculator, someone that does business on an international level, and to get their assessment as to where the U.S. is heading. Especially, I really enjoy being able to speak with people that are a lot older than me, that have been on this journey called life a lot longer, and to get their thoughts and assessment as to where things are currently at based upon their prior experiences. And so for those that may not have a chance to watch that interview, to sum it up in a sense, he's basically saying he's extremely concerned and he's not positive about the outcome of what's going to happen in this country here if you're in the United States of America. And then just to follow that up with Rob Kerby as well. Everyone knows Rob Kerby. He's real adamant on stressing the fraudulent nature of our monetary system, and it has a lot to do with the 21 missing trillion. And so I kind of knew going into that interview where he stood with that, but yet I didn't realize that if you go beyond just what he has put together, and using Mark's the professor or whatnot, it goes a lot deeper in regards to there being up to $43 trillion unreported, missing, or used for whatever purposes. But yet, whatever those purposes are, it never and will not ever benefit you, as well as myself, directly. And so we got this whole situation about the trade deal unfolding. And so there was supposed to be a phase 1 deal. But yet yesterday, talking in the mastermind session, we really laid out how ultimately there can really be no deal. Because our country is based upon, everything's based upon debt. Everything is based upon the idea that unless we continue to borrow, we can no longer pay our bills. So how can a nation that's dependent upon debt actually strike a deal with a nation that their economy is based upon being productive, rather? And so it's no give or take there. And so long story short, in regards to the mastermind yesterday, the topic was, there can be no trade deal, so you have to eventually make your own deal. And so I went through some details as to what I believe that what that means. But back to the stage 4 situation that your Uncle Sam faces in our country. And so everything we're going to hear for the remainder of this year and heading into this new year will be more so surrounded about how making America great and all that, the job numbers and everything is all hunky-dory, it's all fine. But if you just look at your average person and you even start looking at the mainstream narrative now, they're even flipping the script, all in pursuit of making sure that President Trump does not get a second term. I would imagine because they're concerned with what he could do, or this could just be all one simple game. But regardless of the fact, things are going down right now. Uncle Sam is in stage 4, and there's no revitalizing or bringing him back to life at this current moment with everything that's happening from the Federal Reserve as well as our Treasury and even within our government itself. It's all about making this patient as comfortable as possible as it's heading out. And so, as I mentioned in the mastermind yesterday, the trade deal is not necessarily to come up with a deal to resolve the trade imbalances. I believe personally the trade deal is about controlling the narrative of this monetary reboot. And so I had an interview yesterday with George Gammon. Definitely, it was a great interview. I shared a lot of thoughts about another way of looking at it. And so in the past, I've done videos about how if you were just to use a movie analogy, I prefer The Matrix because it's very telling of what life is like behind the scenes. There's a whole nother world outside of what we currently know and what we currently can relate to, and it has to do with the system that controls us already. And so right now we're witnessing the end of what I believe is Matrix 1.0. 1.0 has been the Federal Reserve leading the nation, printing reserves and enslaving the world through debt. And so as that's coming to an end, I believe there's a process underway right now to issue what I consider Matrix 2.0. And so Matrix 2.0 is simply that introduction of everything that's going to entail AI, robotics, blockchain, and all those technological advancements that have been positioned as saviors for humanity and things that will make your life easier. Those things right there are the beginning of what I consider Matrix 2.0, where it's going to be even less freedom, less access to privacy and things of those nature. And we're willingly giving ourselves over into that. And a good way to let you know that you are giving yourself over, everybody has a smartphone, more than enough, everyone has a computer, and more than enough, a lot of people have smart TVs, and anything in your house labeled smart plays into Matrix 2.0. And then also, to make it even more realistic, from a convenience standpoint, look at all the major companies, Facebook, Google, Amazon. They all have some type of device you can talk to, or just merely just talk in the air, and it recognizes your voice and it'll provide solutions, options, or whatever. That's the Matrix 2.0 that you are willingly giving yourself over into. And so Matrix 2.0 is coming. Now it's just a matter of the disruption as they reboot the system. So there's going to be a small window of time, and I elaborated on this more in an interview that I gave George Gammon. But it's more so that small window of time is your opportunity. And so that's why I'm excited about this next decade, because it's going to be disruptive. It's going to be a time frame where a lot of people will be shocked awake. Imagine having that plug pulled from your head for a minute and then pushed back in, and then that small window of time will cause you to wake up and realize that all those promises. So there's a story I'm looking at, just read about retirement. And so once again, if Uncle Sam is sick and debt is his bloodline, and what the Federal Reserve is trying to do is keep the patient as comfortable as possible by injecting billions upon billions of repo funds, not QE of course, into the markets just to make the things relatively calm. What will that do for your retirement savings? What will that do for all the financial products that are denominated in Federal Reserve notes? The very same thing that the central bank is injecting into the economy to keep this patient alive. And so think about this. The article says retirement savings haven't recovered from the last recession. So there's been more people able to save less over the last decade. So no matter where you're at, if you have more than enough, according to what you think is enough, think about what you're saving in. If you're saving solely in the very same thing that the Federal Reserve is pumping into the system to keep Uncle Sam alive. So it goes deep. But yeah, what does have me excited, this is not a doom and gloom, as I mentioned, that small window of time between Matrix 1.0 and Matrix 2.0, you will have a chance to become more proactive. You will have a chance to unbox your gifting for a window, small window of time, to go into Matrix 2.0 in charge of your life a little bit more than you probably were in Matrix 1.0. So I'm excited, really excited about what I'm working on, the podcast. I'm telling you guys now, giving you a heads up. I'm doing a podcast format. I'm trying to get away from the bells and whistles, all this visual aid stuff. I don't think it's necessary for what I'm going to communicate with you guys and give you an idea of what's going on here. You can see this little visual aid right here has a lot to do with what's going on with what I call giftpreneur. It's about understanding your gift and how to offer it or unfold it into the world through entrepreneurship. And so I believe that's the future that we're heading into, and definitely by default, everyone's going to become an entrepreneur officially, because you cannot count upon your job. So I'm going to stop right there. I would encourage you guys, share this video to your family and friends. So it'll basically point them back to all the work that is done this past week, all the people that I talked to that are way smarter than me. You definitely want to, watch those videos. And then other than that, we're back this week. Got a more great guests coming. So definitely make sure you guys subscribe, click the thumbs up button to this video here, and join me this week because it's going to be interesting as well. Other than that, talk to you later.